Hello, third graders. Today we are talking about equivalent fractions. I have a little definition here for you. Equivalent fractions are fractions that name the same part of the whole, and they are also equal and have the same size. I'm going to show you a great way to do this using some fraction tiles. And today's lesson out of your book also has pictures of fraction tiles for you to use. So you should be able to accomplish this lesson at home, even though you don't have the fraction tiles with you. I will show you exactly what I mean. But before we start, I wanted to show you a couple of my own fraction tiles. So when I'm talking about equivalent fractions, I am talking about fractions that name the same part of the whole. They represent the same amount, even though they have different numerators and different denominators. So if I look at this fraction tile represents the fraction 1/2 of one whole. I could say that 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4 because they represent the same part of the whole. They are the same size and they represent the same amount. You can see that because they take up the same amount of space. They line up just perfectly with each other. If I put my 1/2 fraction tile here, you can see that my 1/2 is 1/2 in length of the blue fraction 1/2, and that it is also the same as these 2/4 fraction tiles. They're the same amount. Okay, so in this case, I could say 1/2, I'm going to write the fractions here, 1/2 is equivalent to 1, 2, 2/4. Okay. If I were to keep moving, I could pick some other fraction tiles to show that they are equivalent. You can see that the way that I'm doing this is by showing you a particular fraction tile. I'm using 1/2 because I know that that's a fraction that you guys are familiar with at this point. Okay, and I'm finding fractions that line up perfectly with it, that show the exact same amount and they don't go just a little bit over or just a little bit too small. I apologize for the blurriness. I'm trying to clear that up. Let's see. There it goes. Okay. So here I have my 1/2 fraction tile, and I'm going to go ahead and try some sixths. So I have here 1/6, 2/6, and 3/6. And you can see that those line up perfectly. They represent the same size. They are equal, meaning that they still represent the same part of the whole. 1/2, 1/2 is equivalent to 3/6. They represent the same part. Okay, let me show you some fractions that are not equivalent. If I were to show you, let's go to this 1/3 piece. Okay, this block fraction tile here represents 1/3. What if I tried, let's try with fifths. So you see I have my black 1/3 and I have 2/5. Are these fractions equivalent? Is 1/3 equivalent to 2/5? Are they the same size? No, they're not. You can see that 2/5 is larger. It takes up more space that this 1/3 does not have. So 1/3 is not equivalent to 2/5. Okay, so let's keep moving along and go ahead and look at your book. Please follow along with me. I am on Chapter 10, Lesson 6. The page number is 601. So here we go. Example 1 says, Noah has 1/2 of a fruit pizza. So you can see that pictured here. How could Noah cut the pizza into smaller, equal-sized pieces and still have half of the whole pizza? Right? So I'm trying to figure out what other fractions are equivalent to 1/2? Because Noah wants half of this pizza. I still want to represent this half of a pizza using smaller fractions. So right now, this is what he has. How can I cut up this side and still represent the same part of the whole? Okay, so what they've asked me to do here is try and use 1/2 and see how many 1/4 or 1/4 pieces line up with that. So I'm going to show you with my big ones, even though you have them pictured here. So here's my 1/2. This is how much of the pizza he has, right? Here's the whole pizza. The blue fraction tile is the whole pizza. He gets half of it, but what if he wanted to cut this half into smaller pieces, but still have that same amount? What could he do? Well, he could cut his 1/2 into 2/4 and still have the same amount. So you can see here, look, I have the same picture here that I do right here. 1/2 represents the same amount as these 2/4. I have two 1/4 fraction tiles. So 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4. They are equivalent. 1/2 and 2/4 are equivalent to each other. They are equivalent fractions. They represent the same part of the whole. Okay, what if Noah wanted to cut the pizza even smaller, right? Even smaller than what he has now. What if I wanted to try 1/8 fraction tiles instead? Let's try it with 8. I'm pulling out my 8s right now. So let's see how many 8s I need to be equivalent to this 1/2 piece here. Okay, so here I have 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, and 4/8. 1/2 is equivalent to, they are the same size exactly, 1, 2, 3, 4 8s. Oops. Okay. So if I wanted to take my half a pizza and cut it into 4 pieces, I would have 4/8 of the pizza. 1/2 is equivalent to 4/8. So I had 4 1/8 sized tiles. So 1/2 is equal to 2/4 and is also equal to 4/8. They are equivalent fractions. Half of the fruit pizza is the same as 2/4 or 4/8. And you can see that here. If you draw a line straight down here, oops, that wasn't entirely straight, but it was close. You can see they all represent the same size. Even though the size of the pizza pieces is smaller, with the 8ths and the 4ths than the 1/2, they all represent the same amount of the pizza that Noah has. Okay? So keep going. Go ahead and flip your page over and look at example 2. Example 2 says, Kwan's bookshelf has 3 shelves. Only one of the shelves has books. Kwan says 1/3 of the shelves have books. His mom says 2/6 of the shelves has books. Are they both correct? Okay, so we're trying to figure out if 1/3 and 2/6 are equivalent to each other. Kwan says 1/3 of his bookshelf is full of books. His mom says 2/6. So which one of those is true, or are they both correct? Looking at the fraction tiles, you can see here is his entire bookshelf. Kwan says that 1/3 of his bookshelf is full of books. His mom says 2/6, 1, 2, 2/6 of his bookshelf is full of books. Who's correct, Kwan or Kwan's mom? Go ahead and pause the video and take a look at these fraction tiles and tell me what you think. Do you think that 1/3 and 2/6 represent the same part of the whole? Are they the same amount? Are they equivalent? Okay, now that you've unpaused the video, I'm hoping that you've decided that Quan and his mom are both correct. 1/3 is equivalent to 2/6. You can see that here and here. Another way to look at it is to use number lines. We talked about number lines last week. Looking at this number line is separated into thirds. The entire number line represents the bookshelf, and the point that's circled here represents Quan's thinking that 1/3 of the shelf has books on it. Down here, here's Quan's mom's thinking. She separated the number line into 6. But as you can see, my number lines are the same size, and the 1/3 and 2/6 line up exactly with each other. So you can see they represent the same part of the whole, the same amount between 0 and 1. So 1/3 is equivalent to 2/6. Okay. So really quick, the guided practice question. The guided practice question says, complete the number sentence with an equivalent fraction. So use this picture to help you. They're saying 1/2 is equivalent to some amount of fourths. You need to decide what numerator goes here. How many fourths are equivalent to this 1/2? If you said 2/4, you are correct. There I have 1, 2/4 pieces here, and they line up exactly with my 1/2 fraction tile. Okay, your assignment for today is to complete the independent practice page. Make sure you use the pictures to help you. I know you don't have fraction tiles at home, but with the color copy out of your book, I think it's very clear for you to see what fraction they're talking about and if they're equivalent or not. Please make sure that you read the directions and let me know if you have any questions. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.